Call your ugly $220,000 a year wife.
This reunion was the first since we graduated from high school because of the worldwide pandemic. It's been 25 years since I last saw everyone. Even if everyone appeared to have grown up, Greg's inner self hasn't changed at all. In addition, Greg and everyone around him were constantly teasing me to phone my wife. I couldn't ignore the insults, but I really didn't want to present them to her.
All right, I will call her.
As soon as the call was over, a gleaming black luxury vehicle pulled up in front of the location.
I apologize for the wait. Please don't let me enter into a deal with you over the drama. What?
The well-known actress Emily was the one who got out of the vehicle. I'm 43 years old and my name is Kevin Taylor. I was raised by my grandparents after my parents died in an accident while I was a little child. I decided to get into the workforce after high school because I wanted to somehow pay them back. My grandparents also died shortly after I married at the age of 40. They frequently worried that I might remain unmarried indefinitely. Together with my parents, I think they are now quietly keeping watch over me from above.
Kevin, could you please look into this?
I was being called out to by a coworker at work. I have been employed for a considerable amount of time as a site supervisor for a construction company.
Yes, I am en route.
We are currently constructing a sizable shopping center, and I frequently return home late at night. To avoid risk, we complete the physical task before dusk, but I still have paperwork to complete afterwards. All of this is supported by my wife, Emily. She always looks after me, even though she has a hectic schedule herself. Greetings from home. I made dinner because I finished early today. Oh, that looks really good. Let's eat. Emily makes such delicious food that it wouldn't be an understatement to say that it won my heart the first time I tried it. Despite being at the prime of her career and going through a difficult period, she still finds time to prepare my favorite meals.
Oh, right. Here, take this.
It looked like an invitation to a reunion. The invitation was printed on a beautiful white envelope. Looking at it, I let out a sigh. A high school reunion, huh? Honestly, I'm not really up for it. I've got work, so I'll pass. For most people, maybe high school memories might be filled with youthful adventures. However, for me, those memories aren't particularly fond. Everyone's an adult now, right? And I haven't heard any bad rumors about that person. Sometimes, even if you didn't get along in the past, meeting as adults can be surprisingly harmonious. Why not give it a try? No pressure, though. Actually, Emily knows the person I don't want to meet through work, and they're scheduled to work together in a few months. Of course, they don't know that Emily's husband is me. Rather, only a few people in the world know who Emily is married to. I've announced that I got married, but only a few people know it's Emily. Well, I guess there are some guys I'd like to catch up with. So all right, I'll go. I marked my attendance and started enjoying my favorite dishes laid out in front of me. Emily quickly finished her meal and headed to the bedroom as she is having an early morning tomorrow. Left alone, I drank some whiskey and reminisced about the past. Back in high school, my grandmother used to pack my lunchbox every day. We weren't wealthy, so the contents were never lavish, an omelet with boiled vegetables and stewed beans. Sometimes there were sausages, and I would silently cheer inside. My classmates brought lunchboxes packed with appetizing items like hamburgers or fried chicken. Some guys even enjoyed lunch meals right from the cafeteria, but I always loved the lunchbox my grandma made with all her love. Yuck. I thought something stank. It's your lunch, isn't it? Pinching his nose, that was Greg, who blurted out those words. He was the kind of guy who would be at the top of the school social hierarchy. His comment drew his friends closer to my desk, peering into my open lunchbox. Hey, there are pickles in here. This must be what's causing the smell. The other side dishes look pretty bad too, huh?
Can't help it. He's got no parents, right? Ha!
They laughed out loud at such heartless words. Other classmates turned a blind eye, perhaps not wanting to become the next target, except for one.
Knock it off, guys. Kevin's grandma is an awesome cook. Try a bite before you complain.
As he said this, John casually tossed a piece of omelet from my lunchbox into his mouth.
He's my best friend.
Hey, John, that was my omelet. It had cheese in it today, and I was looking forward to it. Usually it's just a simple omelet, but sometimes it has fillings, which I also look forward to. The lunchbox isn't very large, and it only contains 2 sides. John ate one, meaning one of my precious sides was gone.
Huh? Oh, sorry. I'll treat you to a drink later to make up for it.
While everyone else pretended not to see, John was always there to stand up for me. Because of him, I could face going to school every day, even with guys like Greg and his friends.
You really eat that stuff your grandma makes, huh? No way I could do that. What? That's rude.
Greg and his friends were clearly unamused and left the classroom with wallets in hand. John looked like he wanted to go after them, but I stopped him.
Thanks, John. Let's just eat, okay?
I'm not good at talking back, so it's enough for me that John gets mad on my behalf. John showed a bit of irritation, but then began eagerly eating his own lunch.
Wow, what's this?
One day, as usual, I went to school and opened my locker to get my textbooks. What I saw were my textbooks covered in graffiti. They were now colored in.
Good morning. What happened here? They did this again.
The deliberate tainted appearance was evident. John was convinced that Greg and his friends were undoubtedly the culprits. I thought so too, but there was no proof that they had done it. John was furious and headed to the classroom, and I quickly followed.
Hey, Greg, cut it out. What's your problem with Kevin? What did he ever do to you?
John burst through the door and yelled loud enough for the whole classroom to hear. Classmates turned to look, wondering what was going on. I had no spare textbooks, so I had no choice but to bring the colorful ones into the classroom.
Ha! What, did you spill paint or something? What are you, a kindergartner? Don't mess around. It was you, wasn't it?
Do you have any proof that Greg did it? Accusing someone without evidence is just ridiculous, isn't it? It was clear they were the culprits. The classmates must have thought so too. But as Greg's friend said, there was no proof. Just when a fight seemed imminent, the bell rang, as if to remind us to calm down.
Let it go? It's true. There's no proof. Besides, they're still usable, right?
What?
It's because you're always so laid back that we keep getting targeted.
I wanted to keep things peaceful, also not to cause any trouble for my grandparents, so I never talked back, just waited for time to pass.
Maybe it's because I lost my parents when I was young and lived life worried about what others thought. I think I can't bother anyone anymore. John must have sensed what was on my mind because he looked me in the eye and sighed heavily. Thanks, John. I expressed my gratitude to him.
That day, I took my indoor shoes home and tried to wash them in the bath, but they didn't come cleaned. I could buy them for just a few dollars, and they're not unusable, just a couple of years old. I decided to keep using them for the rest of my high school life.
The next day, good morning, John. What's that?
As I ran into John by the lockers and looked down at my textbooks, I saw that his were even more colorful than mine. It's cool, right? I've been thinking, why be the same as everyone else when you can be unique? He said this with a smile as he headed to the classroom. He knew I wouldn't buy new books and would continue using them. I can't say how much these small acts of kindness have saved me over the years. Then came our senior year of high school. Everyone was in exam mode, but I never intended to go to college. While everyone else was spreading out their study guides, I was looking through job listings. What? You're planning on getting a job? Yeah, that's right. I don't really have anything I want to do, so I don't see the need to force myself to go to college. It's always better to go to college. That idea holds true no matter the era. Well, you're poor because you have no parents. And with no brains, you can't even get a scholarship, right? I had no comeback. It's true that I have no parents and that my family is poor. And as much as I dislike him, Greg is the second smartest in our class. His family is pretty wealthy, and it seems like he never has to struggle. It feels like God must hate me, seeing how different our lives are. Life's different for everyone, isn't it? There are plenty of successful people who didn't go to college. Successful, huh? I can't see this guy becoming successful. No way, no way. Success is more likely for Greg. He's just got a better foundation for life. Greg and his friends laughed uproariously, and I bit my lip and looked down. I'm honestly not interested in success or any of that. Just living a normal life is fine by me. At least for the future, my parents never got to live. But I swore to myself that I'd prove them wrong someday using this frustration, this motivation. After graduating from high school, Greg went to a famous national university. His friends seem to go to decent colleges too. Call me anytime if you need anything. I'll come back right away. No, no. It's not like you can come back right away, but I'll keep in touch once in a while. Let's both do our best. John also passed the entrance exam for a college out of state to pursue his dreams. Having been childhood friends, we had been together since kindergarten. I felt a mix of loneliness and a desire to support him. At the station, as the two men hugged, passers-by looked on curiously. I got a job at a construction company within biking distance from my home. The colleagues there taught me kindly and strictly, as I knew nothing about the left or right. Honestly, I was initially too skinny for this job in construction. But over the years, I packed on muscle, and kids even started calling me the big brother because of my muscles. Of course, it wasn't just my appearance that improved. My work skills did too. I didn't have any certifications when I started, but I learned on the job with the support of my colleagues. Even without going to college or trade school, there are many qualifications you can get just through years of practical experience. Then, at the age of 30, I reached a major turning point in my life. I was headhunted by a major construction firm, Wilson Group. At that time, I was focusing on design, working on everything from small buildings to large commercial facilities. In the industry, the truly skilled become well known, and I was one of them. I was quite surprised when the president of Wilson Group, impressed by one of my buildings, personally came to discuss opportunities with me. I could grow so much thanks to the support of my colleagues and the company that hired me straight out of high school. I always thought I would keep working there, but everyone encouraged me to take this new chance. It's an opportunity to improve your skills even further. You got to take it. So I ended up switching to my current job at Wilson Group. That's where I met Emily, who would later become my wife. Whoops, it's getting late. I have work tomorrow, better get to sleep. As I reminisced, I realized it was almost midnight. I quickly took a shower and then joined Emily in bed. The day of the reunion arrived, a mix of anxiety and anticipation. I'm home. Oh, you're going to reunion now? Take care and have fun. As I was about to leave home, Emily, who had just finished work, returned home. Welcome back. Maybe I should have canceled, knowing you'd be home early. Just kidding. You're going to see your old best friend, right? Enjoy it. Call me if anything comes up. Yeah, I will. I checked my appearance in the hallway mirror, then headed to the venue where the reunion was being held. My high school was not very big, so it was the same faces for 3 years. Since not everyone could come, with about 30 people attending, the venue was a slightly spacious bar. I received a message that we had reserved the entire place. I guess this is the place. I arrived at the destination and looked around, but didn't see anyone who looked like a classmate. It was still 5 minutes early, so they might already be inside. John had messaged that he'd be a little late, so I took a deep breath and opened the door. Welcome. A few people inside turned to look my way. I recognized the faces, feeling nostalgic. Is that you? Kevin. One by one, people cautiously approached to greet me. Yeah, long time no see. Back in high school, John was the only one who spoke up against the bullying from Greg. But that didn't mean others shunned me or joined in harassment. They talked to me normally. If I were in their shoes, I doubt I could be as outspoken as John. Probably just trying to avoid becoming a target myself. That's why I don't harbor any feelings of hatred or resentment towards them. Sorry I couldn't be there for you. Some whispered such words to me while being careful not to let Greg hear. Just hearing that lightened my heart. As we shared old stories, raucous laughter came from the back of the bar. I could tell it was Greg and his friends just by their voices. Fortunately or unfortunately, they hadn't yet noticed me. Emily had said that perhaps now that we were adults, old grudges might be resolved. But it seemed they hadn't changed a bit. Worry about being teased like in the old days, I decided to keep my distance from Greg and his friends. Since it wasn't a full class reunion, there were no formal greetings, just a casual get-together with old friends. Everyone was enjoying catching up with those they used to be close to. Then, about 10 minutes later, one man entered the bar. "Kevin, long time no see. You haven't changed a bit." It was John, the friend I was most looking forward to seeing. Since graduating high school and moving out of state, we kept in touch. But this was actually the first time we'd seen each other since he left. "John, it's been a long time since we met last time." I was so happy to see him that I spoke louder than intended. I realized my mistake too late. Attracted by my voice, Greg and his friends, who had been at the back of the bar, started coming our way. "What's this? John and Kevin? Is it still looking as unlucky as ever, huh?" Well, at 43, it's like I still have a trauma around him. Something about his presence just leaves me lost for words. Let me guess, you're not doing any real job, right? I heard someone saw a guy who looked like you coming out of a construction site. One of Greg's friends mocked me. He was probably referring to the large shopping mall I was currently working on as a site supervisor. It's perfectly normal for me to be there. Seriously? Some temporary job, huh? Looks like Greg's the only successful one after all. But then again, we never had high hopes for you. You guys still talking like children? Haven't grown up at all, have you? John always stood up for me. It's true that there are day laborers and temps at construction sites. They're essential for the work to progress, and I can't stand anyone belittling them. Day laborer or temp, they're working hard. I don't see anything wrong with that. Without them, the site wouldn't function. What's that? Acting all high and mighty? You're just a construction worker, nothing more. The pleasant atmosphere of the reunion soured. Some people came here today, and I don't want to argue with them anymore. I know that if I walk away, Greg won't bother chasing after me. I reached out for the half-finished glass on the table in front of me. Just as I was about to leave the scene, that moment came. "Hey, you have a ring on your finger. You're married?" The simple wedding ring on my left ring finger caught their attention as I reached for the glass. One of Greg's friends immediately changed the subject. "You are so annoying, but I bet your wife isn't anything special. Being a day laborer spouse?" "Exactly. Does your wife make like $20,000 a year? That's still more than you, right? Man, you're really pathetic." "What? What are you talking about? His wife is..." I tried to stop John from speaking further by covering his mouth. He apologized with a gesture and closed his mouth. "What? Go on, say it. Are you too embarrassed to reveal it? Must be probably some unattractive old lady, right? It's incredible how people can badmouth others just based on imagination. It feels like they've grown only in appearance but regress inside. I don't care what you say about me, but leave my wife out of it. I respect her." "Well, you have to, don't you? Since she's making more than a day labor like you. You'd be lost without her." They laughed crudely. I know all too well the efforts Emily has made to reach her current position. That's why I couldn't let this slide. In fact, I felt more anger toward them than I ever had before. "Stop it. It's not about the money. She's a hard worker and a wonderful person. Since you say that, call that ugly wife of yours who makes $20,000 a year. Honestly, I didn't want to introduce her, but I couldn't just ignore the insults to Emily. All right, I'll give her a call." I stepped outside the bar and called Emily. "What's up?" "Sorry, there's been a bit of a situation. Can you come here?" Okay. I'll be there." Emily seemed to sense something was up and agreed without asking for details. Right after I hung up, a shiny black luxury car pulled up in front of the bar. "What's the car?" Greg and his friends were eagerly waiting at the entrance for Emily's arrival. John and I stood a step back. I walked up to the luxury car that had just pulled up. I opened the back seat door gently and offered my hand. "Sorry for the wait. I will not make a contract on the drama with you." "Okay." The person who took my hand and stepped out was Emily, a well-known actress. She wasn't disguised with sunglasses or a hat, and passers-by were sneakily glancing over. It was getting dark, so while it wasn't clear exactly who she was, it was obvious she wasn't just anyone from the car she stepped out of. I didn't want to create a scene in front of the bar, so Greg, stunned, and I let Emily inside. The sound of the door opening made several classmates turn around. Surprised gasps filled the bar. One by one, classmates turned to look, and cheers loud enough to be screams filled the place. And no wonder. Emily is such a big star that there's hardly anyone who doesn't know her. She truly is a celebrity of the moment. Finally coming to his senses, Greg and his friends entered the noisy bar. "What? Why is Emily here? And why is she holding hands with Kevin?" He seemed flustered, stuttering throughout his speech, which made me almost burst into laughter involuntarily. Her hand was still in mine as we walked in from the car. "Wow, is this real? Emily is here. She's so petite. Did Greg invite her? You said she was a drinking buddy, right?" His friends seemed to only see Emily, each blurting out their thoughts. "But I've never heard that Greg and Emily were drinking buddies." "Drinking buddies? Are you sure you're not mistaken?" "Greg and I only met for the first time last month. Greg actually got a job at a TV station after college. Now he's working as a producer on dramas and movies. I heard that he was involved in a drama scheduled to air next spring and had made a passionate offer, desperately wanting Emily to participate. I was quite surprised when I first heard the producer's name from Emily. Just shut up. But Kevin, you know Emily?" Greg, looking bewildered, pushed his friends aside and questioned our relationship. "Didn't you ask me to call my wife?" "Kevin and I are married, you know," Emily answered nonchalantly. "I've always felt somewhat inferior about the mismatch between a major actress and a regular guy like me, so I'd been reluctant to talk about it. But Emily seemed not to care about such things. Are you two married? As in husband and wife?" Overwhelmed by the shock, Greg couldn't think straight and kept repeating the word married incessantly. It was almost comical, like a broken toy. "Nice to meet you. I'm John. I've heard about you from Kevin from time to time. Never thought I'd get to meet you in person. Worth the trip back from far away." As everyone realized we were married, and the room buzzed even more, John cleverly introduced himself to Emily. Since Emily and I hadn't had a wedding due to our busy schedules, this was the first time they were meeting. "Oh, so you're John. I've heard a lot about you," Emily said, perhaps used to being recognized as a famous actress and causing a stir. Emily seemed to tune out the buzz as if it were just background music. Watching my beloved wife and best friend talking like this made me feel incredibly happy. There was a warm atmosphere around the three of us. But Greg, as expected, shattered it. Wait. I knew Emily married a regular guy, but Kevin? Why would a major actress marry a day laborer? How can someone lowly like you be a match for a major actress? Someone like Greg, who's in charge, will be more fit for her. Mismatch? I understand that better than anyone else. I never even imagined I'd end up marrying Emily. Day laborer, Kevin? You're working as a temp. No, that's not it. Greg heard someone saw me coming out of a construction site. Well, Kevin is a site supervisor, so it's normal for him to be at construction sites. And I don't appreciate your condescending remarks about temps. Emily shares my mindset and values all workers. She understands that if even one person is missing, the whole operation suffers. And this is the same for any industry. Site supervisor? Ha! You must be joking. You're tricking Emily. Kevin grew up in a poor family without parents. How could he handle such a significant job? You really don't know anything to mock Kevin like that. He works for the Wilson Group. You've heard of them, haven't you? Wilson Group? Isn't that Emily's family's company? The major construction company? When I switched jobs, it was a company of Wilson Group, which belongs to Emily's family. It was her father who tried to recruit me. Emily was 20 when we first met, and 10 years younger than me. Her father was worried about his daughter, who was struggling to make it as an actress. Having attended acting school from a young age, she didn't have any qualifications that would help in a regular job. If she didn't make it, what would become of her life? He had never heard any rumors about her dating anyone because she was so focused on her career. When I was 30 and still single, he asked me to meet Emily. He hoped that if she did marry, her husband would eventually take over the business. He told me later that he thought if anyone could be trusted with his daughter and the company, it was me, whom he had personally scouted. Despite our age difference, neither of us thought it would work out, and initially our relationship didn't progress to dating. However, Emily found that spending time with me was a break from her work-focused life. Perhaps the weight was lifted from her shoulders because a naturalness appeared in her acting. Although she was in a supporting role, she began appearing in well-known dramas. Meanwhile, I found great comfort in our times together. After work, I'd go home, and the next day it was back to work again, with weekends spent visiting my grandparents at their care facility. My repetitive daily life was brightened by her presence. Eventually, we naturally drew closer and began dating. And when Emily turned 30, we got married. Why would Kevin be with such a big company and married to Emily from Wilson Group? What kind of dirty tricks did you use, huh? Don't you know that famous large shopping mall in the neighboring state? It was designed by Kevin. He's designed buildings all over the place. Her father scouted him because he believed in his potential. Greg was mistaken about everything. I'm not a day laborer but a site supervisor, and my income is above average for my age group. And my wife, Emily, isn't just a famous actress earning a mere $20,000 a year. You're kidding. You are a successor to a major company and married to a famous actress? As a producer, Greg had always felt he was more successful than anyone else. Of course, I recognize the effort it took to get there. Despite believing he was superior to everyone else, Greg must feel defeated knowing that someone like me, a high school graduate with no particular talents, is now the successor to a major company. Moreover, the fact that my wife is a celebrity known all across America probably adds to his sense of defeat. Honestly, after all the harassment I've endured, I'm enjoying this moment. I'm proud of my life and success, though I don't boast about it openly. But it's clear that I wouldn't be where I am without the support of the people around me. I'm aware of your relationship with Kevin. I haven't heard any bad rumors about you in the industry, and I thought that as adults, you might be able to reconcile. I was looking forward to working with you. Reconcile? What do you mean? Didn't I say no drama contract? I'm sorry, but I can't see myself wanting to work with someone who belittles others like you do. Emily was set to play the heroine in a hugely popular novel series soon. The original character's appearance and aura matched Emily perfectly, which I could see. 2. That's exactly why Greg must have been so eager to keep making her agree on contract offers. The rest of the cast was quite impressive. 2. Some had already started filming, and Emily was scheduled to start in a few days. Wait, please, to cancel the contract now? Filming has already started. A lot of money has been spent, all over something so trivial. You can't just do that. It may be my prerogative, but I believe starting filming under these circumstances wouldn't produce anything good. I'll explain to the other parties involved. What will you explain? You're and tell them you don't like me? That won't fly. You're just going to tarnish your own reputation. If there had been some scandal, it would make sense for things to be called off. But Greg hadn't done anything impactful enough to cause a major issue. It was just a minor squabble with a classmate. Even if he tried to prove it, there was no evidence. Perhaps. But what about this? As she spoke, Emily pulled a rectangular black object from her bag. What is that? A voice recorder. Emily pressed play, and the conversations from when they entered the restaurant began to play back. So, what is this supposed to mean? You think you can trap me with this? I'm known as a skilled producer in the industry who has created numerous hit projects. A minor squabble like this won't affect me. You're right, But this should be enough to prove your true character. Let's go, Kevin. There's no point in staying here any longer. As Emily pulled my hand, I asked her to wait and turned back to Greg. I've always thought you were exceptional, even from our school days, and you still are. But don't you think you become a bit arrogant? Where you are now is thanks to the help of those around you, right? You're lacking gratitude. Without it, when times get tough, you'll find yourself alone. Don't be ridiculous, Kevin. How dare you? I'm the one who should be receiving gratitude. Emily, you'll regret this. I don't care anymore. Think of your acting career as over. With those loser-like words behind us, we left the restaurant. Are you sure it's okay? If he targets you, could that be bad? It's just a rumor on the internet. But I remember seeing an article about it at some point. The article mentioned that if you're disliked by a well-known and skilled producer, you could get blacklisted. The source was unknown, and the truth unclear. But if she was marked by those in power, she would get treated poorly in any workplace. It shouldn't happen, but such stories are all too common nowadays. Such pressures had escalated into social issues. So I believe it's not as prevalent as it used to be. It's okay. Even if I get blacklisted, I'll make a comeback for sure. After all, it all comes down to real talent. Whether starting from scratch or from a deficit, I won't give up. I'm not so scared of falling that I behave unethically just to keep working. Haha, you're as cool as ever. The next day, Emily reported the incident to her manager. Given her loss of motivation, it was clear the shooting wouldn't go well. Emily quickly finished her meal and headed to the bedroom, as she had an early morning tomorrow. What an unreasonable demand that was. The initial reaction was likely because she was a top actress, and they thought she was getting too big for her boots. However, the voice recorder proved useful, and Greg was soon called in for a discussion. What can I say? It's like, the old school vibe, right? Greg tried to navigate his way out of the crisis with excuses, but things didn't go well, heading instead in a worse direction. Actually, we've been getting reports about your behavior from several women. I thought it was some kind of joke, but it seems we need to investigate this seriously. What reports are those? You know better than anyone what I'm talking about. That's enough for today. We'll respect Miss Wilson's stance on this matter. You'll handle the aftermath, of course. You're in charge, after all. Perhaps realizing something, Greg's face turned pale, a sheen of sweat visible on his forehead. Just because she's a major actress, you think this kind of behavior is acceptable? The shooting has already started. Do you realize how many people you're inconveniencing? It's not Emily who's causing the inconvenience, Greg. It's you. Now back off. Greg was yelled at loudly, flinched, and helplessly kicked out. After that, interviews were conducted with all female employees. Greg had been using his position to make advances on the women. If you go against me, you lose your job. I'll improve your conditions if you comply. He threatened them and at times tried to bribe them for rookie assistants. There was no way they could defy such words from their boss. The whole scandal quickly spread across the industry and even made the news. The more famous you are, the faster you fall from grace over any small flaw. Of course, the drama was canceled, and this caused significant inconvenience to many. The penalties for breaking the contract and compensation claims for emotional distress from the female employees turned into a nightmare. Greg was demoted to an assistant and later resigned because he couldn't stand the scrutiny. He sought help from his parents, but they dismissed him, saying, "You're an adult. Handle it." It's unclear where or how he's living now, but one thing is certain. He can no longer return to a normal life. About that drama, they decided to change the producer and go ahead with it. Emily excitedly told me that the drama was rescheduled and shooting would start again soon. Being a huge fan of the original draft herself, she was quite thrilled. Meanwhile, my construction projects are progressing smoothly, and they're scheduled to be completed next year. I'm looking forward to it. I'll be the first to visit with my wife and kid. John now has a family and a young child. As he left at the station, he said this and waved goodbye with a big gesture. The facility I designed will be filled with people's smiles. There's no other job as fulfilling as this. Though I'll eventually become the company president, I want to live without becoming arrogant like Greg, always remembering to be grateful, because no one can live entirely on their own. I could see cherry blossoms softly falling from somewhere as I parked my car and began to walk along the cobblestone walkway. Along with the arrangement of flowers I purchased on the way, I filled a bucket with lots of water and set them in front of the grave.
I said it's been a month, Catherine, to the tombstone.
5 years ago, my wife Catherine died of stomach cancer. Her monthly Memorial Day is today. I always bring a bouquet of roses, which are her favorite flowers, to the grave when I visit. I then describe the events of the month while seated cross-legged in front of the gravestone. This year, I turned 34. My name is George. I've been in sales for 11 years at a medium-sized business. Despite my diligence, I continue to be a regular employee with no opportunity for advancement because of my innate clumsiness, which causes me to make small mistakes. In the hereafter, I vent to my wife about my everyday hardships and shortcomings, as well as our kid Michael through the gravestone. Michael is currently a second grader at the age of 7. My mother, who lives close by, gets him up from after-school care after school. Michael has no sicknesses and is well enough to attend school. He appears to be really content and has made some wonderful friends. In addition, I have begun enrolling him in French language courses. I'll bring him here with me next month. I think about my wife's joyful smile while I speak. I am in a state of happiness right now. 5 years after her death, she is still very much alive in my heart. She provides me with emotional support and comfort.
I went to my parents' house to pick up my son after seeing the burial.
I said I'm home and used my extra key to open the front door before going inside. From the living room, I heard loud footsteps.
Daddy! Welcome back. Look. For me, Grandpa and Grandma purchased this. Michael was holding a well-known game console. That's fantastic. Have you expressed gratitude to them? Yes, I did. George, welcome back. My mother asked as she peered out of the kitchen, will you stay for dinner? I said yes, of course, as I entered the kitchen and struck up a conversation with my mother, who was preparing food. You purchased a game console for him? Isn't that pretty costly? Don't stress over it. Was Michael pleading with you for it? You may have advised him to hold off until his birthday, which is next month. It's all right. For his birthday, we'll give him another appropriate gift. Mom, you spoil Michael too much. Though, I'm grateful. Anyway, tonight's dinner is your favorite, camellia. Oh, great. Then I went to the living room, where my father was engrossed in the game with Michael. Go, Michael. Yes, that's it. Grandpa, be quiet for a bit.
Looks like you are more into it than Michael. I sighed a bit in amazement and sat down on the sofa, petting our cat Whisker, who jumped onto my lap. Both my parents adore Michael, and Michael is very fond of them. Our family relations are good. When Catherine died, Michael was just 2 years old and didn't really understand the situation, but as he realized his mother was gone, he would cry, "Where's Mommy? Mommy?" Seeing Michael like that was heartbreaking, and I hugged him and cried together. It's hard to believe that little guy is already in elementary school. Time flies. Now, Michael doesn't remember his mother.
Next time, let's play together, Dad. Yay! That sounds good. I smiled back at Michael, who was looking at me.
There is a big trade show our company is participating in, so I attend there as part of the staff explaining our products. The venue was bustling with lots of businessmen in suits. In the midst of it all, I was engaging with people passing by our booth, trying to draw them in. I let interested folks try our product samples, fill out surveys, exchange business cards, and hand them brochures. It's a pretty tiring job, standing from morning till evening. Looking at my watch, it was almost noon. We take turns for lunch breaks, so the booth is never unattended.
That's when the company's president, Mr. Johnson, showed up at our booth. How's it going, George?
Mr. Johnson, good to see you.
Things are going smoothly. I reported to Mr. Johnson the number of people who had filled out the surveys. So it's going fairly well then. By the way, George, have you had lunch yet? No, not yet. Then let's go eat together. I have something I want to discuss with you. I wonder what Mr. Johnson, our company president, could possibly want to discuss with someone like me. It couldn't be a transfer, or worse, a layoff, but I hadn't made any major mistakes that would harm the company. Maybe it's about my sales performance. I followed Mr. Johnson with this thought in my heart. We left the exhibition hall and went to a nearby fancy Italian restaurant. Entering the restaurant, Mr. Johnson told the staff, "I'm meeting someone here." A meeting? I hadn't heard about this. I wondered who it could be. When Mr. Johnson spotted the person he was meeting inside. "Hey, Emily, long time no see." "Uncle, it's been a while." The person Mr. Johnson called Emily stood up from her chair. She was a slender woman with long, straight black hair, looking quite beautiful. She appeared to be in her late 20s. She wore a dark brown length skirt and a neat beige top. Her large eyes made her strikingly beautiful. If Mr. Johnson called her uncle, then she must be his niece. Mr. Johnson gestured for me to sit in the chair opposite her. "George, take a seat here." "Okay." I sat down right across from her, as instructed. "George, this is my niece Emily," Mr. Johnson introduced her. I nodded politely. "I'm George, and Mr. Johnson has always been a great help to me." "Me, I'm Emily. I've heard a lot about you from my uncle," she said with a smile. I wonder what Mr. Johnson had been telling his niece about me, and why she was here at this place. Feeling a bit out of place, I glanced at Mr. Johnson. Then he said, "George, it's been 5 years since you lost your wife. It must have been tough, but maybe it's time to start a new chapter in your life, don't you think?" I was momentarily unsure what was being said to me. Mr. Johnson continued to speak. "Emily will be turning 30 next year, but she's practically had no luck with men. She's at the right age for marriage, yet she doesn't seem too keen on the idea. It's quite a concern." Then it clicked for me. This was a setup for a blind date. I felt like I'd been deceived by Mr. Johnson into this matchmaking situation. Emily lives alone, can handle all household chores, has a kind nature, and loves children. I'm sure she'd get along well with Michael. "Mr. Johnson, I appreciate your words, but I have no intentions of remarrying. This is quite uncomfortable for me." Even as I said this, Mr. Johnson didn't seem to listen. Now, George, you've been saying that, but it's been 5 years. Isn't it about time? I'm sure your wife in heaven would want you to be happy." Hearing that, anger surged from the pit of my stomach. He didn't know anything about my wife and yet dared to speak as if he did. Catherine was incredibly jealous. The idea of remarrying and her being happy about it is out of the question. But since he's Mr. Johnson, I couldn't talk back. Then he, seeming quite pleased, continued, "It must be hard to move on from your wife, but don't you think Michael would be better off with a mother? What do you say, George, about starting a new family for Michael's sake?" Mr. Johnson even presumed to decide how Michael felt. A child his age must still long for a mother? He didn't know anything about Michael, yet confidently made such assumptions. Michael never said he wanted a mother. In fact, he's shy around strangers, and having someone suddenly become family would surely be stressful for him. As I remained silent, Mr. Johnson handed me the menu. "Come on, order anything you like. It's on me today." Reluctantly, I ordered a random pasta. Emily ordered the same. "Then I'll step out for a bit. You two talk." With that, Mr. Johnson stood up and I headed toward the cash register. An awkward silence fell between Emily and me. I was angry with him. I even considered leaving the restaurant right then. But this woman in front of me wasn't to blame, and it would be a waste not to eat the food we ordered. As we waited for the food, Emily hesitantly spoke up. "I'm sorry for how sudden this is. My uncle probably didn't tell you about today, did he?" "No, It was a surprise for me, too. Actually, I was only told we were going to have dinner. She looked troubled, her eyebrows frozen. Is that so? I felt a bit relieved. So she was in the same boat as me. My uncle kept insisting that there was a perfect match for me at his company and I should meet him, but I've always refused. He praised you a lot, George, said you're compassionate, a bright mood maker, and a valuable person to company. Is that so? I was surprised and pleased that Mr. Johnson spoke so highly of me, but this was a different matter. Emily, you seem like a wonderful woman, but I've decided never to forget my wife and don't plan on marrying again, I stated firmly. Then she smiled and said, That's okay. I have no intention of getting married either. I was just tricked into coming here by my uncle. Hearing that, I felt relieved. So we're in the same boat then? She let out a soft chuckle. Yes. I'll talk to my uncle about it. After a while, the pasta we ordered was served, and we began sharing our personal stories. I actually have someone I love. Hearing her say that, I was surprised. You're not planning to marry him? When I asked her, she looked down, hesitated for a moment, and then said, My partner is a woman, so we can't get married. I was taken aback. I see. But everyone, from my parents to my relatives and even colleagues at work, keep telling me I should marry soon, completely disregarding my feelings. I laughed. I understand. It's nice that they care, but they don't know our situations. Yes, I know they mean well, but it's like an unwanted favor, isn't it? Emily and I really hit it off. People like Mr. Johnson and others around us assume too much that marriage equals happiness. It's quite presumptuous to think someone's unhappy just because they aren't married. Exactly. There are many different forms of happiness, and marrying someone of the opposite sex isn't necessarily the pinnacle of happiness, I believe. That's right. Do I look so unhappy to others? My son and I are content with our life as it is. Sure, it's sad and lonely without my wife, but that doesn't mean I should welcome another woman into our family. I don't plan to love anyone but my wife, ever, and I don't think I'll meet anyone greater than her. I was so engrossed in our conversation that I forgot to eat the pasta in front of me. George, you really love your wife. She must be a lucky woman to be loved so much even after she's gone. It's embarrassing to hear that, but it's nice to hear. Everyone, including Mr. Johnson, seems to think my wife in heaven would want me to remarry. That's nonsense. If that were true, what would happen when I go to heaven? You're right. She might be looking forward to reuniting with you someday, and it would be sad for her if you had another wife. I had never met someone I could talk to so comfortably. I was so happy I would have held her hand out of joy. You understand exactly. For me, forgetting my wife and remarrying would be like leaving her. But even if she's not by my side, I still love her and have no intention of parting. I get it. If my partner were to pass away, I'd feel the same. I can't imagine being with anyone else, and besides, some people are perfectly happy living a fulfilled life with their hobbies or work, even without a partner or marriage. Everyone's idea of happiness is different, yet many people still think romance or marriage with the opposite sex is the only form of happiness. I'm almost 30 and single, and people often tell me I should find someone and get married soon. I totally understand. I have a friend who's not interested in romance or marriage. He's successful in his career, really wealthy, has lots of friends, and seems happy going on trips and camping often. Right. The notion that you can't be happy unless you're married is such a biased view. There's so many other ways to find happiness. During our 1-hour lunch break, I talked with Emily to the fullest. We exchanged contact information and said our goodbyes. We planned to go out for drinks sometime, including her girlfriend. I thought about inviting a friend of mine who's also not interested in marriage. They'll probably have a lot in common. When Mr. Johnson later asked me how did it go, I told him honestly about my feelings. Hearing this, Mr. Johnson finally seemed to accept it.
Later, I invited Emily and her girlfriend to a barbecue party with my friends. My friends, unlike the older generation, don't harbor any prejudices, and Emily and her partner seemed comfortable. Emily plans to come out to her parents and Mr. Johnson about her girlfriend. I hope they understand.
I hope so too.
Happiness comes in many forms. Being true to oneself and living happily in that way is the best, I believe. My name is Mike. This year I turned 40. I work at a small-town factory near my home, manufacturing auto parts, mainly car lights. My job is to supervise temporary workers lined up on the assembly line and ensure we deliver the specified lights by the deadline. Some of these workers have issues that trouble me, and one such case is the recently joined Emily Smith. There are no problems with her work or performance. In Emily's case, it's not so much a problem as it is a concern. "Emily, no lunch again today?" I asked her, sitting in a corner of the cafeteria during lunch break.
She looked up at me awkwardly. I didn't have time to buy.
"You can leave the factory to buy some, you know."
But wouldn't that be against the company's rules?
"It can't be helped. If you don't eat properly, it'll affect your work in the afternoon, too."
I'm sorry, but I don't have the money to buy food. Again, she not only doesn't bring lunch, but she also barely has any money on her.
Even as a temp, she should be making between $1,800 to $2,000 a month, including overtime. The pay might be low, but it's not so bad that she should always be struggling financially.
Plus, she lives with her parents.
Parents, she should have some money to spend. Hey, are you managing your money properly? And Emily, you should take more care with your appearance.
She looked down as I said this.
Emily had just graduated from high school, but frankly, she was unkempt. And although she seemed to bathe, it appeared she wasn't washing her company uniform properly, as it was dirty and worn out.
She smelled bad, causing complaints from other temp workers. I'm sorry. I'm not allowed to use the washing machine.
That can't be true. Everyone's getting upset, so please come properly dressed from tomorrow.
Yes. She nodded weakly to my words.
But at that time, I didn't realize that she was in a situation far worse than I could have ever imagined.
These young people nowadays really lack discipline.
That night, after finishing work and returning home, I grumbled to my wife Susan over dinner about Emily again. "Yes, she doesn't really bring lunch. She's careless with money, and on top of that, not washing her clothes is just the worst, don't you think?"
Oh, that topic again.
Susan's expression clouded. Lately, I have been complaining about Emily to my wife quite a bit. She must be tired of hearing it.
But Susan's reaction was unexpected. Maybe Emily is being mistreated by her parents. What do you mean? I've been hearing some rumors in the neighborhood, and it got me thinking. Susan then told me about a recent rumor she'd heard in the neighborhood.
Apparently, in a family that had moved into a public housing complex, a daughter was being neglected by her parents.
The family's last name is Smith. Could it be?
Well, it seems that girl is her father's stepchild, and the family treats her coldly. Can you keep an eye on her for a while?
Understood. I was stunned by my wife's words.
But thinking about it, it explained why Emily didn't bring lunch or have any money, if her parents were taking all the money she earned.
Just the thought of it made me feel sick. However, I was about to witness something even more shocking. It happened on the weekend while shopping at the supermarket with my wife Susan. I coincidentally saw Emily. Come on. Hurry up and walk. Stop it, Kevin. Emily was being hit by a little boy. It was more like playful punching around her waist, but she clearly didn't like it.
Besides, there were a man and a woman who looked like her parents, laughing loudly as they watched.
Look, that's Emily, the girl you were talking about. Gay, no doubt about it. Excuse me. I'll go over there for a moment. Wait, Mike. I approached Emily. Hey, what are you doing, old man? I grabbed the boy's arm, hitting Emily, and looked at her. Mike. Emily looked at me, trembling, with a frightened gaze.
Hey there, Emily. What a coincidence meeting you here shopping with your family, huh?
Yes, that's right.
Her eyes, filled with fear, shifted toward her parents, who were watching me with suspicion.
Are you Emily's parents? I've always been grateful for her help. I'm Mike, the factory manager. Oh, is that so?
Her father responded with a suspicious look and a curt greeting.
But then he said something astonishing.
About Emily's salary, can it be raised a bit? She even does overtime, but doesn't bring in much money. Can't something be done about that?
Jerk, right? We're letting you use our daughter. Pay her more. Her mother even shouted at me. Let go, you old jerk.
The boy, whom she called Kevin, tried to shake off my hand. I released his hand.
Fine, don't mess with me, he said, and ran back to his parents. Dad, beat up that old jerk. Kevin, not here. We'll deal with it later.
The father laughed loudly and crudely at his son's words.
What's with these people?
Susan murmured beside me. She gently tugged at my clothes. It was a signal to move away from these people.
Well, we'll be going then. See you at work, Emily. Yes. Hey! Think about her pay raise, will you? Just wait, you old jerk.
Ignoring the shouting boy, we walked away from the Smith family. Emily watched us leave with a longing gaze.
The next day at work, Emily approached me. No, I didn't realize what you were going through. I'm sorry for any thoughtless things I've said before. No, it's embarrassing, but I couldn't do anything about it, she said, and began to slowly share her circumstances.
Since her parents divorced and she was taken in by her father, Emily had always been burdened with household chores. Because of this, there were times she couldn't go to school, and after middle school she worked part-time while attending a night high school with her father's permission.
At that time, she wasn't deprived of her earnings. She had to manage everything herself, but she lived relatively freely. However, everything changed after her father remarried.
Her stepmother disliked her and treated her coldly, teaching Kevin, her stepbrother, to treat Emily like a servant. Her father never reprimanded the stepmother's behavior. Instead, they demanded that she pay them back for being raised by taking all her earnings from her part-time jobs. Her clothes and personal belongings were thrown away by her stepmother, and she was even restricted from bathing often and washing her clothes. That's why I couldn't wash my uniform freely, and it got all tattered. I'm really sorry, she concluded her story. I was speechless for a while, overwhelmed by her situation, which was worse than I could have imagined. Despite being in such a tough situation, I thought she was strong for enduring it alone, but also felt deeply sorry for her.
Then I handed her something. Here.
What is this? She looked at the package I handed her, a confused expression on her face.
My wife made this packed lunch especially for you. She really wants you to have it. Just give me back the empty box when you're done. No rush. Wow, your wife made this homemade lunch for me. I'm so touched.
Tears welled up in her eyes. Trying to hold back her tears, she said in a trembling voice,
Thank you so much, even though I've been such a burden. It's okay. Also, could you hand me your uniform over the weekend? My wife is eager to wash it for you. Are you sure? To do so much for me? She responded in a tearful voice.
That's all we can do for you. And remember, if you ever want to leave your current situation, you can always talk to us.
Thank you, but what would my family say if I accepted help? Tears streamed down her face as she tried to hold them back. It's okay. I know someone who's an expert in these matters. We can definitely help you. I gently rubbed her shoulders to reassure her. Sobbing, she expressed her feelings. I don't want to live in that house anymore. I want to have a normal life like everyone else. Please help me. Her pain, borne in silence for so long, resonated painfully with me. That night, the front of my house became a bit of a battleground. Hey! Where did you take Emily? Bring her out. For some reason, Emily's father came to my house demanding her return. He kept banging on the door, yelling at us. Inside, Susan looked at him anxiously. Hey, are we okay? She asked me. We are fine. Besides, if we engage with him, our house will turn into a mess. I reassured her while holding her shoulder. Emily wasn't even here to begin with. It was a hassle that he showed up like this. For now, I've called the police just like you said, Susan whispered to me, holding her phone. Good. That's the right move. I smiled at Susan, took the phone from her. I then dialed a certain number. Soon after, Emily's parents were taken away by the police. Whew, that was scary. I'm sorry for causing this. Emily's apologetic voice came through the phone. I spoke gently to her over the phone. No, it's okay. Did you manage to get to the station all right? Yes, I'm on my way to the NPO you told me about, Emily replied happily. Yes, I was the one who helped her run away from home. The reason Emily's parents came to my house was because I had advised her to leave a note implying she was heading here. I thought it would buy her some time to escape. But are you sure I'll be accepted? She sounded anxious. Don't worry. Helping kids oppressed by their parents is what that NPO does. Thank you so much. Her voice trembled as she spoke. I could sense her near tears even over the phone. I've done what I can. Now it's up to you. You have to carve out your own life. You okay with that? Yes. I'll be fine. You endured your family's unreasonable treatment for so long. I'm sure you'll be okay no matter what difficulties you face. Yes. Oh, I've arrived. I'm going to hang up now. All right. Take care. Yes. Thank you for everything, Mike. With those words, the call ended. I gently moved the phone away from my ear and smiled kindly at Susan beside me. She'll be fine. She's brave enough to ask for help. Susan smiled back and gently held my hand. Later, I heard that the NPO had reported Emily's parents to the police and they were being investigated. Her stepbrother Kevin was taken in by his aunt. The next day, when the employees wondered about her absence, I simply said she had moved. Years passed in the blink of an eye. Look, Mike, we've got a Christmas card from Emily. Really? I exclaimed as Susan handed me the card. In the Christmas card, she appears posing with her husband. She is also holding a cute baby in her arms. All three were smiling happily. She says the baby girl was born healthy last year. We need to send a gift. Emily had successfully severed ties with her parents and started a new family after our intervention. We still catch up over the phone every few months. She's now a mother. She's going to be a great mom. I agree. We smiled at each other while looking at the Christmas card. Though Emily had endured tough times, she was now happily living with her new family. I'm glad I listened to her plea for help back then, and I'm profoundly grateful to Susan for her support. Watching her smile, I thought this to myself. I truly wish from the bottom of my heart that she continues to lead a happy life.